make payment to the Jews, make payment to the Japanese. Nazi Germany, Communist Soviet and the Chinese. Yet you don't want to give what is due to we.
The reception here has been overwhelming. When we sat and we strategized and planned in the Virgin Islands to have me dispatched on behalf of the Virgin Islands reparations movement, it was to bring about a new and increased level of advocacy with respect to the history of the Danish West Indies and the human tragedy there, the related social ills and human rights violations, and to bring about greater awareness with respect to the need of repair and addressing of the social ills and the addressing of all of the unresolved issues and matters that exist between the people of Denmark and the people of the Virgin Islands. Again, you got to conceptualize 250 years of shared history that has been concealed from our people. And so this is perhaps the biggest issue that Denmark has ever had to face. And so in that light, to be received in the way that I have is very humbling. It is not easy for any people, nation, institution, or government to look within and to revisit its own history and to seek to understand how the history of its own development and perhaps expansion and increase has affected other peoples and cultures. But then not to stop there, to go further and to seek to make amends. It is not an easy thing. And so as much as the people of Denmark may think of me, it is them that today should be commended when we can look up and we can say that on the 13th of August 2010, we have founded in Denmark the Danish Movement for Virgin Islands Reconciliation. It is the people of Denmark that is to be commended. It is not an easy thing. And so I was here for 1 week, and in a week's time, we were on national TV. I think more than 1.5 million people had the opportunity to be exposed to the Virgin Islands reparations movement and what that meant. A week later, we were in the Politicking, and it just continued to follow and follow. We've been in meetings and invited to all kinds of events and discussions to strategize on how we might bring about this repair collectively as Danes and Virgin Islanders, but more importantly as one people. We've been invited to the University of Roskilde to present the Virgin Islands Reparations Initiative there and to speak about how this history is tied today to the prevalence of racism in the Danish state. We've been invited to the University of Copenhagen to speak and to several other educational institutions here. So I think that the reception has been warm, and we're certainly humbled and excited to have such a warm embrace. Yeah, so we're grateful and we're thankful.
Every protest and petition constantly. Give it back the resources we want back we land. War with self-determination. We not stop provoke, we not go stop the man. We the African people live by them own definition. So we need it, want the reparation.
There's certainly many options for other partners here in Denmark. There were before as well, but back in April 2005, we were very pleased with the reception we received from the Danish Institute for Human Rights. And so we felt that signing what had become a very historic memorandum of understanding between our two people was important, and it is still very important today. The document is very far-reaching in that it is the first accord of its kind between Danes and Virgin Islanders that acknowledge that it was the Danish institution of African chattel slavery that was directly responsible for the emotional and psychological, economic harm of Virgin Islanders. It is the first agreement of its kind between institutions in Europe and those in the Caribbean, between a former slave master nation and former colonizing nation and a people that were colonized and enslaved. And so it established a joint task force on reparations, and we were very, very pleased of that achievement. And I think we have reached a stage now where we can begin to look at several other approaches. I think that cooperation is still an option on the table between the Danish Institute for Human Rights and the Virgin Islands reparations movement. I think the establishment of Corrida gives them another option as well to work here in Denmark with a Danish NGO towards the idea of repair. So we are still in discussions with the Institute for Human Rights. We won't say that cooperation is off the table, but to determine exactly what has happened in the relationship and where we go from here has not yet been sorted out. And so when we come to some understanding, we'll be sure to share that with the greater public. But for now, we're focused on establishing Corrida here in Denmark and to carrying out programs and initiatives. And we welcome participation and cooperation, not only from the Danish Institute for Human Rights, but any NGO who may find interest and concern in the idea of addressing this humanity that has been impaired by slavery and colonization and the sale of this people in 1917.